Hey, what's up guys? Towels here with another Project Diablo 2 video from Season 11 with my Blade Fury Assassin, the very popular build of the season, but now as it stands, I'm running a Blade Sentinel Tier 2 DClone killer. The other day I decided to put this DClone setup and it works great. So I've got 16 kills now, and I feel like I can easily repeat it to farm for a DClone item. So I'll show the fight at the end of the video and go in depth on the gear and strategy I use for it. But before that, I also want to highlight some of the versatility of this build in general. I know a lot of folks are playing it this season, and I figure I can share some helpful tips I've thought of along the way. So as we get into it, please feel free to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content and also this season. So I'll start off with going over the mapping build that I'm currently using. Of course, it's an insane mapper like I showed early in the season with like far less than perfect gear, being able to clear tier 3 maps with ease and at a really good pace. Currently, I'm back to the Reaper's Toll, very close to the same build as I showed earlier, but along the way, I had tested a number of really good claws, far better than this one for mapping. This is really a bossing claw, which I'll go over in a little bit, but I'm talking about like 600 ED, Eth Warfists, some with plus skills, some with amp and deadly strike, like this one from Empty Folder, who, if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel yet, he's had an insane season. If you thought I was lucky this season, absolutely nothing on him. So I'm happy to give a shout out to my buddy over there. But with all of those claws that I tested, I did land on my preferred setup being Headhunter's Glory with it, just because that 12% amp proc is really enough for a lot of the time when you are telestomping a lot. So if you're telestomping into dense packs, right, and you're letting your Blade Shield proc as well as your Blade Furies, then you're really going to see a lot of amp all around you and being able to clear maps really, really fast as well. So in the end, the Blade Fury build is extremely easy to gear because your weapon damage is one thing, but really the skill damage that comes inherent with it really just multiplies so well when you've got other sources of enhanced damage outside of your weapon as well. So that includes on your armor and on your mercenary and from your party or anything like that. And so the mercenary is pretty much the same thing that I showed before. Pride Templars, other options like Wrath A1, if you're going to go with like a Phoenix shield, totally viable also, right? Act 5 Might Merc, if you're going to run like Innocence with the Battle Cry helmet as well. Like all of these options, ultimately, if you're getting enhanced damage and auras from your mercenary to increase your damage, then that's plenty. The reason why I like Reaper's Toll so much is that it covers a lot of the necessities for this build to run smoothly all in one place, right? You have a 33% amp proc on it. That's the highest you're going to get, and it feels great. You literally just are amping things over and over multiple times. Like you can run physical immune maps like these three, which are hallway maps, really easily also. So I can show some clips from this Pandemonium map, and it's got physical immunes, and that would be those witches, and you'll see that I'm specifically telestomping on those whenever I can, because again, Blade Shield will help to proc that immediately on any telestomp for monsters that are directly within range when you do telestomp. And so when you do that, you ensure that they've got amp on them, and it'll break their physical immune and you'll kill them right away. Right, so that really means that in addition to the maps I had shown before with like Thrones, Cistern, Sanatoriums, run all of those really fast. In addition to that, you can also do Pandemonium as another tier 3, or like Bastion Keep and Tombs as other tier 2s with physical immunes with no issues. For the rest of the build, I've got pretty much what I had showed earlier, this really nice Veil of Steel, 3 open sockets, this armor that I just haven't moved off of because it's so convenient. That 44 all res, I really do need better jewels on it. Right now it's a 40 ED 6 strength and a 40 ED 9 dexterity. I could get more res, I could get faster hit recovery, I could get all kinds of nice goodies. Oh, and I forgot, on the jewels inside of my Reaper's Toll, what I've got here are actually faster hit recovery, a little bit of attack rating, and a bit of res as well. So adding on to the quality of life that comes with it anyway. So the other things that I want to point out inherent with Reaper's Soul is also the 12% life leech, which is absolutely huge for feeling comfortable inside of maps, right? I'll show you some really dumb telestomps that I'm able to get away with, which I kind of do for fun at this point. Again, soft core player here. Reaper is not necessarily a hardcore viable build. You have no block, right? You have no defense out of your hand and weapon and offhand, right? But what I can show here is you can throw yourself in some really dumb positions and still get away with it based on the amount of life leech you have and just how strong this Blade Fury build really is, right? And so I'm teleporting in without a shadow and managing to survive these situations. Honestly, I do it kind of just for fun at this point. So in addition to that, you've also got 33 Deadly Strike, right? And so Deadly Strike is something you absolutely want to cap, right? So I have 63 Deadly Strike here, and then when I have my Mercenary Aura on me, so Blessed Aim comes with Deadly Strike, and I reach the 75 cap via that. Yeah, I actually usually don't run Soul Drainers. Usually it's these Grave Palms here, or sometimes I just run these MF Chancies that I have also. Again, like just so many easy ways to kind of roll with this build. Faster run walk is also really great to have as well, so these Gore Riders here help with that piece as well. The 29% PDR helps with the kind of dumb things that I like to do on this build, but what I also want to point out is this amulet that I got, right? So Seraph's Hymn, especially because I have so much resistances on my chest and on my helmet between those two pieces, then I actually just don't need any res on the amulet, and for that then I feel really comfortable using this, which comes with 2 skills, right? I slammed enhanced damage on it, but when you look at the rolls for the damage to demons and the damage to undead, it's really huge. These are big numbers, right? And so when you look at the damage to demons, it's off body enhanced damage, which we just talked about how important that is. Like that's why Veil of Steel is so good. That's why your armor you want to have and the auras from the mercenary are so important, because those multiply in addition to the weapons damage, also the skills damage, right? So when you look at Blade Fury skill here, we got 700 to 980, almost 1,000 damage coming just from the skill, and all those auras and off-body enhanced damage all multiply that. And in addition to that, your damage to demons and your damage to undead are increasing your damage specifically for those as well. And so that's going to be huge for the bossing portion of this as well. And then cannot be frozen on that. Obviously, you need 1 slot of that too. Very popular here is going to be High Lords as well, but the increased attack speed, I just don't notice any difference in that, right? And so the jury's still out on that. I don't think there's a final verdict on exactly what the IAS frames are for it. It seems to be quite confusing, but you'll see that they're non-applicable here, so we just don't see them there. And frankly, I just don't really see much of a difference. I have 1 point burst of speed currently. My previous build, I had max burst of speed, but the reason I was maxing it was essentially just for the faster run walk. So a lot of different ways you can test that. You can play around with it if you like as well. But since I have this screen open, what you can see now is that I'm actually running max Claw and Dagger Mastery as well as max Weapon Block, right? So I know I'm using Reapers, right? Makes no sense. Those don't apply whatsoever, and that's exactly true. And the reason why I'm doing that, though, is because now I have a very easy swap over into my bossing build. So this is my DClone killing build. Now when I make this swap, I will be fully set up to jump right into a tier 2 DClone, and I can show you those numbers and the stats and the skills behind that as well. So with that simple swap, I'm now at 90 max fire res, I'm at 50% PDR, I have my Blaze Sentinel skill all up and ready to go. Okay, and so just before we get into the meat and potatoes of the DClone build, I also want to just quickly highlight some of the other things that I do with this build, which includes this kind of interesting set of Goldfind gear, because certain points in the season I was finding myself very low on gold, and so I decided to do some corrupted Travancore runs, and so this actually worked out really great. I was getting like upwards of 6.5 mil per 15 minutes of a corrupted zone, and so I can show what it looks like. You know, you obviously absolutely explode the Travancore Council when you do it, and so you're getting somewhere like 200, 300k gold per run, and there's an investment of like 5 Worldstone shards. And every corrupted zone, it's a nice 15-minute break anyway from mapping. The other corrupted zone that I like to run also is going to be Hell Cows. The MF on this setup is essentially what I use for that as well. And then Lucion, it's an incredibly easy fight, so I cleared T2 a little while ago and just haven't shown it because it's kind of so straightforward. If folks want to take a look at this clip right here, you'll see the fight itself is essentially exactly this. It's just standing in this corner, spamming Blade Fury. It's good to have some PDR for those big spikes that come out of Lucion, and then when it comes to the veiled portals, it's the exact same thing. You're just standing there. Max light res is good to have. Dual claw is probably the best way to build it. And then finally, when you have a vampiric craft as well, this claw doesn't really look like much, but what it has are a few very key things. So a vampiric craft comes with both damage to demons and damage to undead, and so that's again more of that off weapon enhanced damage that goes a really long way with this build. But it also has Fools mod on it, right? So it's got them plus max damage per level, and it's got plus attack rating, huge plus attack rating per level as well. And so that's what I've got on my current claw for my DClone build. I have a 22k attack rating with this, purely because of, essentially just purely because of this 1500 attack rating that comes from that one mod on this claw, right? And so it's got damage on it, obviously, right? But that Fools mod is super key to this being a legitimate option for this fight. And then if I could have done this myself, I would have done it with a vampiric craft to then get that additional damage to demons and damage undead multiplier. Similar for why I love this Seraph's Hymn amulet that I got so much, right? It's, in addition to the damage, it's also got attack rating. So it's even got additional attack rating to demons, right? And so similarly, in a similar vein, I've also got Laying of Hands that I'm using here, because if you look at the roll, it's got 192% damage to demons. And so this is adding a ton of damage to DClone himself. The other option you commonly see here too would be Ghoulhide Bracers, right? So this adds damage to undead as well as attack rating, because this really helps with those skeleton waves in the DClone fight. After testing both, I just prefer the Laying of Hands. I don't know why. The additional damage to DClone just feels better for making the fight a little bit faster. Don't really struggle too much with the skeleton waves for whatever reason, but Blade Sentinel is just an incredibly good skill for it. The expensive bits of this were definitely the Shaft Stop, 3 open sockets with a high PDR roll. So with 28% from here, and then you've got 14% from the Redungos and 8% from this Bolcathos ring. That's what reaches 50% for me. And then the other expensive piece, of course, being these 8% water walks. So 8% water walks here. So max fire res slam on this. This actually ended up costing me 7 high runes. So I paid 7 ohms for this, which arguably is around 7 high runes, 5.5 to 7 or so high runes for that, but it's an expensive piece for sure. And I think this Shaft Stop before the runes already cost me like 3.5 or 4 high runes for it. The other piece that was actually surprisingly expensive too was this offhand, right? So for your offhands to pair with your main claw that has all of the damage, essentially, this can be on a slow base. What you want on your offhand is to be on a fast base. So you want fast base. So in this case, it's Greater Claws, which I think starts off at like minus 20 attack speed, which is really good. And it has +5 to Blade Sentinel via the +2 traps and the +3 Blade Sentinel, as well as 2 open sockets. So the best here would be like a 6 Blade Sentinel, even a +1, so maybe even a 7 Blade Sentinel with open sockets on it, right? Because in these sockets, what I'm adding now are faster hit recovery and resistances. So I needed cold res and I needed poison res to help hit the caps for those. Could easily do, you know, FHR and all res as well. That's a valid choice for sure. Just a little bit more expensive, I think, for the jewels itself. So not a cheap build by any means, especially because I've still got my like really nice Veil of Steel on here also. From this slot, like you see a lot of folks probably going for like Crown of Ages or even a 3 open socket Vamp Gaze here or something like that. But it's really important to bring in enough damage with you also, because you can hit all the defensive stats in probably cheaper ways by skipping on some of these items and using additional slots for it, but then you probably are losing out on a lot of damage, and that makes the fight take longer, and you'll run out of juves. See, when I'm fully buffed, my HP is at 2.8k. That's not a ton, right? So as a ranged character, that's good, right? But at the same time, you're going to get hit by enough damage that it's not going to feel like a lot, right? And so it's not something where I feel very comfortable going below half damage a lot of the time, or below half my health pool a lot of the time. And so because of that, then I'm potting quite a lot when I'm still at my kind of within the top half of my health orb over here. So things to keep in mind, that you do want the damage to kind of make this a reasonable length of a fight. Sometimes I'm running this in maybe sub 6 minutes, but if it reaches like a 7 or 8 minute fight, then that's when I'm down to just a handful of juves at the end, for sure. So that can get pretty close sometimes. Skills wise, I've got 1 point in Dragonflight. This is actually purely just for the mapping side of things. I've got max blade skills, and then in my shadows, I've got max claw and dagger mastery. This is important to get that attack rating multiplier on here, as well as the damage and the critical strike. And then weapon block also. So weapon block, this is the reason why you need to use dual claw, but essentially this gives you parry chance, and so that can block even spell damage as well. So it blocks melee, blocks range, blocks spells. You can even block DClone's Bale Nova as well, so that one shot could potentially be blocked at a 50% rate. And so with this, you also have a faster block rate animation, and so you do want to hit good frames there. The only thing to aim here is actually just 32%, and so the skill gets you to 27. You just need one source of faster block rate, and most people go with water walks for that. Cool. All right, and so that's enough rambling, I think, for that. Hopefully that shed a lot of light into kind of the thought process around this build, and just kind of how powerful and convenient a lot of this is for being able to swap back and forth between your mapping and your bossing builds. Such an easy gear swap, while still being able to maintain really good mapping capabilities, even though it's not fully optimized to that. I'm missing max Shadow Warrior and max Burst of Speed compared to what I used to have. At the same time, that Reaper's build is still able to just absolutely fly through tier 3 maps. Okay, and so we've started the run, and you can see we're in the first Skelly wave. Pretty standard here, just running and kiting and shooting the Blade Sentinel behind you. It's so nice that that skill, it just like bounces back and forth in that area, because it's just slicing and dicing through all of those Skellies. You can see I'm not being super brave with my pots either, not waiting to go super low on my health pool before hitting that pot. So what I'm doing here is standing all the way in the corner and drawing those bone spirits in, because then I can easily step just behind the pillar here and be safe from that fire. So a nice way to save an extra juve or two, because otherwise you would be standing there potting for sure. Collision damage is pretty bad in this, I find. Can definitely hurt a lot, and so you see I dropped down to 381 HP there. That was a really close call, easily could have been a death. So I really just don't like it when DClone charges at me. That's one of the dicier spots for me, for sure. So as I'm kiting around him, I am trying to just look out for those meteors on the ground and timing when they're actually going to show up. And so now we're back into Skelly Wave. This is number 2, has the archers. I am just doing laps around the outside basically, and just going to try and throw a Blade Sentinel every now and then at the archers. And what will happen then is that the skeletons will also just kind of wander through the Blade Sentinels also and soak up some damage along the way. And so usually it's something like 2 passes around that I'll be able to get most of the archers done, and then at that point I can just kind of walk through the middle or go through and just kind of target the remainder. Again, the ghoul hide gloves here being another option. I just didn't see them doing that much more damage to the archers compared to what I was getting from the laying of hands, which has the demon the demon damage, which was helping me, I feel like, more against DClone than the ghoul hides with that undead damage was helping me against the skeletons. So okay, that's actually 3 laps around now, I guess. Takes a little while through here, but once you've got them all down, then you're back to one-on-one versus DClone. At this point, it's usually a good idea to fill up your belt once more, either now or while you're standing behind the pillar. So you'll see another bone spirit, and then I'll step behind the pillar. The meteors and the bone spirits are getting more plentiful as well, so you know there's going to be lots and lots of danger throughout, and you just have to try to keep an eye out on what all's going on. Especially when it's before the next skellies come out, nice to kind of prepare, drop your cube, get those extra rejuves into your inventory, and then go back to refill your belt, etc. Because right now it gets real hectic. So at this point, I'm just keeping an eye on the peripheral of how many rejuves left in my belt while doing the same thing, right? Just going around the edge, kiting, and just shooting out one blade sentinel at a time, essentially, at any of the archers and mages, because once you can start clearing those out, it becomes just a lot more straightforward to finish out the wave. Thankfully, the warriors are the tanky ones, and they'll just follow you and yeah, just keep walking through your blade sentinels as you're aiming for the other dudes. So yeah, absolutely impossible to avoid all of the damage here, but that 49% parry chance is just insane, right? So right now what you're looking at is essentially 49% of all damage being avoided, right? And so even with that, you're still seeing a lot of potions being used. You're still seeing my health bar go up and down quite a lot. So that just tells you a little bit more about how crazy this fight is. So imagine using twice as many pots or taking twice as much damage as this in the fight. That's essentially what the assassin class gives you here. So making it an excellent bossing choice for sure. In addition to the other ones that I've run before, like Charger and Berserker. Alright, through the last wave now here. It's been a very smooth run so far. Had that one close call earlier, but since then, really just been able to kite. Keep an eye out on my on the health potions and things. Those bone spirits have stacked up now, so I tend to want to let those hit me and then move off of that fire right away. And boom. So you can see the damage on DClone himself, extremely good, right? This skill just in general does great work in that arena, and so definitely something repeatable, something I think I might actually be able to farm a DClone item now, so I'll be going for that. Might do Rathma eventually, but I have gotten the tier 2 kill before with that over in the Crafters League, and so I can link that video. I go in depth on that. There are some minor updates and stuff for that fight since then, but still a really good and useful resource. I think I cover a lot of the dual claw weapon block, things like that, basics in that video as well. So I'll link that right here. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.